What's the paranormal story you have? I remember a few years ago, my friends and I were going to this downtown Halloween pub crawl thing and we were getting our Halloween costumes on. As I stepped out of the bathroom, I heard this gruff old man's voice go, "Who are you?" So I spun around. The bedroom near the bathroom was empty, lights off, and I ask my friend if she heard anyone. She just goes, "Oh yeah, that's my grandpa Perez," like it's a common occurrence for her. I farm in a rural town in the western US, and our farm is a ways out of town, so naturally it's pretty airy at night. We flood irrigate, so the water needs to be moved from field to field, and those water changes just come whenever the fields are finished. At each end of our farm there is a big row of trees that once again get kind of eerie at night. So my dad and I were driving down our farm road at around 3 AM. We reached the row of trees, and as the headlights hit the trees I saw a strange figure. It looked to be the rough shape of a human, but not quite the same. Taller and more hunched over. Kind of like a 6 feet 3 inches old woman in a shawl. I only saw it for 2, maybe 3 seconds, but it was long enough to make my blood run cold. I was so freaked out, so I didn't say anything to my dad. About 30 seconds later my dad started driving faster and looked over at me and said, "I wasn't going to say anything, but did you happen to see a strange figure walk between the trees?" I nodded and we changed the water and went home. There has been a local legend about a creature that looks like what we saw that has been talked about since the 40s. It's supposed to be similar to a Native American skinwalker, and it would make sense to me. We have found Indian pottery and arrowheads all over our farm. Neither of us have seen it again, but it is still in the back of my mind when I drive to that corner of the farm. I've posted this before. When I was a new mom, shortly after my grandmother had died, we visited her family cottage several states away. It was a small 2-story cottage, with the bedrooms being situated on the 2nd floor. My son was only about 4 to 6 weeks old, so I was worried that he would keep my other family members awake at night with needing to be fed, being new to the world, etc. Well, the inevitable happened, and my son would not stop fussing in the middle of the night. I decided to go outside with my little guy to get a bit of fresh air. The cottage had burned down to the chimney a couple of years earlier, and the house had been rebuilt, so I wasn't familiar with its new tits and bits. I went outside and apparently the door was unlocked from the inside, but the outside lock was engaged. Now here I am, in the middle of pretty much nowhere, locked out of the house at 3 AM with a newborn. I tried the door again and again, and could not get it to open. I even threw pebbles, and then rocks at my husband's window, to no avail. As I sat outside the door, my back leaning against it, about to lose it completely, I heard a click. The door was unlocked. The door that I had tried dozens and dozens of times to open simply unlocked. Everyone was still soundly asleep and didn't recall hearing any noises at all in the morning. The door had a window and I could see the entirety of the bottom floor through it. No one was there, but it unlocked for me. One story in particular comes to mind for me. I have 2 brothers, one older by 2 years and one younger by 9 years. My younger brother was supposed to be a twin. Sadly my mom lost her. My little brother as a baby and toddler was always staring at the ceiling laughing, and we always used to say he must be playing with his sister. It stopped after that, but as he got older we noticed he did a lot of talking to himself. We figured it was an imaginary friend. So one night, it was just my dad, my little brother, about 5 at the time, and I still awake. It was pretty late for him to be up, like 9 PM, and he was still running around full of energy. I basically said to my dad he's on his own getting him to sleep because I'm going to bed. So as I got to the top of the steps I felt frozen, really the best way to explain it, and I listened to my dad trying to get my little brother downstairs. My dad is like, "Come on, insert name here, you have to go to bed, it's late." He kept saying, "No dad, I'm playing." So my dad gave up and said, "Okay fine, but you're going to be up here by yourself, I'm going to bed." And my little brother says loud and clear, "No dad, I'm not alone. Never, I'm playing with my sister." To which my dad answered that I was in bed. He said, "No dad, my other sister, she's not ready to go to bed yet." When I was struggling with heroin addiction, my mom, who is fairly religious, suggested I go to church and maybe talk to someone there about what was going on. I was pretty close to rock bottom at the time, so I thought, what the hell, I'll go talk to someone. Walked to the Catholic church down the street. I'm not Catholic, but it was the closest church, and walked in. This young preacher, he was wearing all black with a collar, looked about late 20s early 30s with brown hair and green eyes, walked out into the hall the same time I walked in, and introduced himself as Father Mike. He looked at me and said, "You look like something is pulling you down. Do you need to talk?" I said yeah, and we sat in the entry hallway and talked. We talked for about 2 hours. Everything just poured out of me. I felt so comfortable with him and at peace. Talked about the addiction issues and how my life was so messed up at that point that I was thinking about killing myself to just stop the cycle. He looked me in the eye with these crazy green eyes. I've never seen anybody with that shade of green before, and told me, "You don't have much time left. You keep using, and you're on borrowed time, and there's not much of that left. Get yourself into detox and get your shit together. Otherwise you won't have to worry about taking your life." I said yeah, I know. I've done this a bunch of times. He cut me off and said, "I know. I'm being serious, Anakin. If you don't get sober this time, you won't get another chance." When he said that, I got chills. So I thanked him for his time, called my mom, and she drove me to detox. On the way to the hospital I told my mom about Father Mike, and she said she was going to thank him for talking with me. Fast forward about 2 weeks and mom calls me in treatment. She says that she went to the church and asked for Father Mike. The staff said that there wasn't anyone named Mike who worked there, and there wasn't any young man with brown hair and green eyes. She asked if I was sure about Father Mike. I said I was 100%. I still remember how green his eyes were. She checked at various other churches in the area, thinking I was high, and wandered farther from the place I was staying. No one had a Father Mike or anyone who fit his description. Mom is completely convinced that I had a run-in with my guardian angel. I wasn't so sure, but his eyes and the way he said, "You won't get another chance" instead of, "You might not get another chance" still gives me chills. I did go on to get sober and get my life together. Had a dream I was hanging out with my best friend from 4th grade. Hadn't seen or spoken to him in years. He left randomly with someone I didn't know in a car I didn't recognize, and I woke up shortly after. Come to find out he died in a car accident the night before around 2 or 3 AM with his friend in the passenger seat. Few hours after I went to bed. Still wild to me. Can't really explain it away as coincidence entirely, I don't think, but who knows. The student center in my university used to have a restaurant / cafeteria / food court in its basement with 2 sets of stairs going back to the first floor. Stories said that it was haunted, but I always thought it was a joke. I liked to study down there in the evening because the food court was closed and the booths were empty, and that gave me a lot of space to spread out my books and notes and some peace and quiet. The layout was that one set of stairs was next to the booth, so sitting where I was I could see if anyone came or went. The other set of stairs were behind me down a hallway that had some storage closets and the restrooms. There was nothing else down that hall. So I was studying one day in the empty food court and I had to go pee. So I go down the hallway into the bathroom. Motion sensing lights turn on. I do my business and start washing my hands when I hear a soft cough inside the restroom, as if someone was trying to get my attention. I finish washing my hands and I turn and realize the stalls are all open. I'm alone in this goddamn restroom. I briskly went to my booth and started packing my bags, and before I went up the stairs I looked around and sure enough, there was nobody there. I start making my way up the stairs when I heard the same cough right behind me. I've seen the movies. I did not turn around. I also never sat down there again, even after they remodeled it. Moved into a house that is almost 100 years old, and after about a year of living there, one day I was sitting alone painting some D&D figurines when Alexa blurts out, "Yes, Diana. It is Jimmy's favorite song," and then proceeds to play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Diana is the name of the lady who previously owned the house and has been dead for about 5 years. Jimmy was her cello playing husband who, after Diana died, moved into a senior assisted living community. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.